with farmers and gardeners on activities aimed at providing food productions in the country. More in this report.
This year marks the 75th anniversary of the celebration of World Food Day since its establishment in 1945. This year, the World Food Day endeavors to promote and preserve food resources in light of the current pandemic. The theme focuses on growth, nourish, sustain our actions are our future. The FAO office and the Gambia, in partnership with the Minister of Agriculture, World Food Program, marks the day with farmers and gardeners in the country. Ami Fabre, Minister of Agriculture, reveals that malnutrition and poor diet is a major challenge, especially on women and girls, as the world continues to fight hunger.
This year World Food Day intends to remind every country of its fundamental political commitment to humanity. The eradication of all forms of malnutrition and raise awareness to achieve growth, nourish, and sustain in the world by 2030. So this is telling us that it's only one decade, only 10 years remaining for us to target our achievement. And in that, we have a lot to do. And I know our collaborators, these are the UN system. We'll be working closely with them so that at least we can target the 1 decade. However, we are aware of the bottleneck or challenges to end hunger, as malnutrition continues to be a major public health problem with the most vulnerable groups, being women and children.
Meanwhile, the mayor of Kanifan municipality outlines that food providers should be celebrated for putting food on our tables, as agriculture is a central component of the country.
Today marks an important occasion for us to celebrate World Food Day. At the heart of this celebration is Gambia's farmers, gardeners, traders, and fishing persons that put food on our plates. With over 60% of Gambians depending on agriculture for their livelihoods, the importance of the agriculture sector cannot be understated. From a very young age, we Gambians understand the importance of food production. Whether we tended to goats as they grazed in the months leading to Tobaski, or we planted maize with our grandparents to be roasted on the fire at the end of the rainy season, agriculture is a central component of our society.
The Food and Agriculture Organization country representative in the Gambia, Mosibudi Rampedi, highlights that millions still have difficulties to access proper food around the globe, despite enough food provision for everyone.
Too many people still remain vulnerable. Even before the pandemic, more than 2 billion people around the world did not have regular access to safe and nutritious food. More than 700 million people go to bed hungry each night, so the world still has a lot to do. Even though globally the world produces more than enough food to feed everyone, the agri-food systems are out of balance. The food is not distributed as it should to all those who need it.
World Food Day was first launched in 1945. Its annual celebration serves as a market of the importance of the FAO and helps to raise awareness of crucial need for successful agriculture policies to be implemented by governments across the world to ensure that there is ample food available for everyone. Reporting for Our Africa News, I am Mariama Cham.
Those were stakeholders on the celebration of World Food Day. Now, the National Youth Council, in close collaboration with the Gambia Association of Local Government Authorities, Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs with development partners, intend to jointly organize community consultation activities in various regions across the country. The consultation is aimed at discussing many challenges faced by vulnerable groups, including youth, women, so as to encourage a cross-section of community representatives to determine the development priorities in the context of the UN. Ndaisise has more in this report.
The National Youth Council, in close collaboration with the Gambia Association of Local Government Authorities and other development partners, has on Friday held a community consultation at the Kanifi municipality on the UN Common Country Assessment and Human Trust Fund in the Gambia. The objective of the event is to encourage youth to take part in the UN 75 dialogue and surveys, as well as to discuss the coronavirus and how it impacts on development. This year's anniversary is focusing on community consultations on the UN 75 dialogues in the Gambia and across borders, various sectors and generations. The representative of the United Nations Development Assistance Framework, Mr. Kul Adeniyi, during the consultation explains the framework of the United Nations.
Engaged people and governments to develop what are really pertinent and the life issues that matter to a country. And that is why now we've moved from what we call UNDAF to the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. For short, we will call it CF. We know that oftentimes we say the UN jargon is long and everything. For short, we will call it Cooperation Framework. As the name sounds, or as the name reads, the Cooperation Framework is not a document where the UN sits in its office, develop, and bring. Two critical things that are important. One, as the name reads again, it's a cooperation framework between the UN and the government of the Gambia. And this process, the government of the Gambia, we mean not only the executive in the country, but the government and people of the Gambia, led by the government. So this framework, like I said, that would come into force from 2022, and that for the 4 years running from that, it is our desire, and as we have been mandated by the UN system and member states, including the government, to make sure that this process is as inclusive as possible.
The UN's worldwide consultation reveals a strong call for actions on inequalities and climate change, as well as more solidarity. The youth chairperson of the Kanifing municipality, Aissatou Seka, also gives a statement in which she urges participants to fully participate and help the UN into their development plans.
I strongly urge all participants to actively participate in this very important forum, so as to help the UN system accurately capture into their development plans the needs of the people. On that note, I once again welcome you all and wish you all a happy and productive deliberation for our collective economic advancement.
The UN is making its 75th anniversary at a time of great disruption for the world amid COVID-19, compounded by unprecedented global health crisis with severe economic and social impacts. According to officials, this year's consultation will provide the public the opportunity to add their views, suggestions regarding the operation of the UN and delivery for the Decade of Action 2020. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
Well, that story on Partners Community consultation will take us a short commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and now to matters of the COVID. The Gambia has 0 new COVID-19 cases on Friday, the Minister of Health said. The total number of confirmed cases in the country is 3,644 since March. No new deaths were also recorded. The overall death total is 118 as of Friday. 9 new laboratory tests conducted by the National Public Health Laboratory returned negative, with one new recovery as of Friday. The total number of recoveries in the country is 2,646 since the confirmation of the first case in March. The Gambia currently has no one in quarantine. There are 880 active cases and a crude case fatality ratio of 3.2%. Gambia records 0 cases of COVID-19 as of Friday. Now, in a bid to close the skill gap in pastry and bread production, as well as improve linkages with the agriculture sector, the Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institute, under the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, is on the verge of constructing the first ever pastry and bread production center. Gambia's Information Minister made these remarks on Friday during his regular weekly press briefing on various government ministries. Julian Yaiswari has more in this report.
The $2 million standardized production center will be located at the Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institute main campus in Kanifing.
The $2 million standardized production center, which is funded by the government of the Gambia, will enhance the Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institute's teaching capacity in the area of pastry and bread production using local ingredients such as millet and corn.
Minister Silla said the project is expected to be completed and officially commissioned before the end of December 2020. Speaking on health, Minister Silla stated that the World Bank Board of Executive Directors have approved a $30 million grant from the International Development Association to help improve the quality and utilization of essential health services in the Gambia.
The Essential Health Services Strengthening Project will provide performance-based financing grants, health facilities, scale up community engagement to improve utilization of quality health services, and build resilient and sustainable health systems to support the delivery of quality health services. This will include the renovation of selected health facilities and the establishment of a national blood transfusion service.
Information Minister Silla said the project will build on the success of maternal and child nutrition and health results project. He said it will also help build the ongoing COVID-19 preparedness and response project to improve access and use of primary health care services for all in the Gambia. In the long term, Silla stated that the project is expected to help reduce maternal and child mortality, thereby contributing to the improvement of the country's human capital index. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Yaisware.
That was Ibrahim Silla, Information Minister, on government's plan to open a bakery. To TRRC, disregarded for rule of law under JAME has made life difficult for the intellectual class to go by the ethics that surrounded their professions, and they had to succumb to the fear of flee the country. Ahmad Toure has more in this report.
Fear of being a suspected critic of Jammeh and the hostile environment at the time made many intellectuals compromise their ethical and professional conduct. Abdoulaye Bachili, a lab technician, used to conduct HIV tests for Yahya Jammeh and sometimes takes samples outside the country for further tests. He took samples to Morocco and Egypt, but the results were all positive with high viral loads, and that did not please Jammeh. Jammeh requested for further tests on the samples, and Bachili suggested MRC to him, but he threatened the closure of the place should they come near his samples, and that Bachili won't live to tell the story. This is how Abdoulaye Bachili describes the environment at the time.
You could hardly go or do the right thing, I would say. If you are not protected, but dictated, so how can you execute your duties according to the law? So it will be hard. It's easy for somebody out there sitting and saying, you should have done it. Of course, you should have done it. But if your environment is hostile and you know the repercussion of doing what you are of not doing what you are told to do, but trying to say, well, this is not in line with the law, you might end up seeing yourself somewhere else. And if you know that, I think it's suicidal.
He urges the Commission to be counseling people who miss a lot of things and have been left traumatized and mentally affected as a result. But he also has some concerns about the way things are in the country and calls for cooperation.
And the route that we are trying to take now, I think doesn't help, especially in the media, where people stand harassing each other and doing other things. This could end up producing another AI of life. I think we should try to understand each other, come to terms, and develop that little country for everybody, whether you are in the country or outside. It's not bad words or bad things or swearing on each other that could build that nation. It's to use our initiative intellectually to come to terms with what is going on and try and build that nation.
The TRRC began its 16th session with focus on former President Yahya Jammeh's alternative treatment program, in which the rights of several patients were violated. The HIV/AIDS epidemic has negatively impacted the social and economic spheres of the people and societies and has contributed to their stigmatization. Reporting for iAfrica TV, I am Omar Ahmad Toure.
That report from TRRC will take us to the end of today's edition of Gambia24. For more news, join iAfrica.tv. I was your presenter, Mariama Cham. Stay tuned and have a good night.